Alright, so we are here at the southern border of Makerere University and Wandegeya. And I'm going to take you through this walk to just show you a little bit how Kampala is looking like on this 30th of December 2025. Just shy of 1 day shy of the new year 2026. Anyway, this is Junju Road, and this Junju Road kind of connects to Haji Musa Kasule Road, which goes to the Wandegeya traffic lights. Right now, I'm in the student hub area, and most of these businesses kind of cater for the university students that are enclosed behind that wall. I feel that alienates them from the communities around, and yet it should be an inspiration to the communities to figure out that they actually do belong. Anyway, I am now joining Bombo Road, which is one of the arterial roads of Kampala. I don't know whether it's supposed to be an arterial road. Actually, it's the main road because it radiates from the city into the outskirts of Kampala, and that gives you access to the northern parts of the country. Even banks are open today, which wasn't the case on Christmas. I think even on the Boxing Day they were not open. But yeah, action is back to the street, and as usual, Uganda is a country that is basking with motorcycles. Cars are few on the road, but they too are returning. And because a lot of people have returned into the city, and this mall is also up and running. Anyway, welcome, and it's a delight to actually have you here. This is a very interesting mall right here, the Campus Mall. And I was telling you that most of these businesses are catered towards campuses, and therefore you'll hear such namings as Campus Mall, Campus View, University Mall, something like that. So you can see that these are bags, something students would actually need to carry their books to class, or laptops for that matter. And you can see food and entertainment joints, see pharmacies. I do not know whether university students fall sick a lot or they abuse drugs more. Anyway, KFC, I think, to cater for the dating class of Makerere University. And Chicken Point, Pizzas, Antonio's. This is actually a restaurant you will mostly find in town. And today, let's embark on this journey. This time, I'm moving in the opposite floor out of the city along Bombo Road from the areas and suburbs of Wandegeya. And I think, let me take you all the way to another traffic light junction that is around Kubiri, Wandegeya. So, motorcycle actions. And by the way, if you're new in Uganda, I think the best way to visit the country is to actually take a motorcycle ride, because this will get you places you would otherwise not be able to get if you were in a taxi, which is the alternative. Actually, here when we say taxi, it's not a single ride kind of taxi. It's a 14 passenger vehicle, yes, carrying 14 people. So it's also relatively cheaper than the motorcycle, but then they tend to have strict places they go to. They never leave the tarmac, whereas motorcycles will almost take you to exactly where you're going. Now, when I say those taxis, this is one of them right there. And these ones must be coming from the northern sides of Kampala, Uganda, and that is Waise, Kawempe, Matuga, Maganjo, or Kalere and Perere, Gayaza, and in that direction. And I see some structures right here, and I am actually moving now on the eastern borders of Makerere University and the areas of Kubiri. And actually behind these walls would be Kachanga. And you can't see the motorcycles If I task you to count how many you've seen so far, in comparison to these taxis, you'll see more motorcycles, and most of them at least have two people. Of course, the person being carried being the passenger, and those that don't have a passenger are still looking for passengers. So I've chosen to walk in the opposite direction, because if I was walking in the direction of flowing traffic, any motorcycle that would be coming from behind me would be stopping to ask me if I'm going, to see if I'm a potential passenger. So that's why I'm walking this side, but it's also mostly to give them away. If you're on foot, you can't really know what is coming from behind you. This road I don't understand. This is a bit of indiscipline. I was already on the road, but it takes you that side of Mulago in the distance. I do not know whether I should take that route, whether it's more engaging. Anyway, let me just take you on this route, just for the sake of showing you around. So now you see, this is what I was telling you, that most of the businesses here are catered towards the student community, and this is my mood hostel. It looks really beautiful, but my only challenges with it is that at night it is not as quiet because of the noise coming off the motor engines from the Bombo Road. Yeah, so if you want a quiet evening or night to read, you will not have that. I know that because I had a friend who was staying here in their campus time, so I visit them occasionally. And then we have Braided Girls Hostel. I find it kind of strange that even at university level, they are single hostels. In the beginning, I used to think it is wrong to have mixed hostels, but then having visited one of the mixed hostels and nothing really was happening, then I no longer see the purpose of a single hostel. But anyway, it is a weird case. However, I am also wrong to say that, because I've seen inside the university there are actually only single hostels. I like the blooming bougainvillea, and actually this palm tree is just synonymous with swamps and swamp areas. That it is here kind of tells you that this place was initially a swamp, but most of the swamps were gradually reclaimed by the low-income communities of Uganda, and eventually have been reclaimed by the upper class. Beautiful bougainvillea, purple, and I'm told purple is the color of love. And this purple is really cool, tending to pink. Interesting. I don't know whether this is a residence or a hostel, but yeah, well-planted trees. But I think it is an apartment complex. The only challenge is the amount of burglar proofing is alarming, so I do not know whether it's an insecurity issue or the assumption of this is low rising, because if water can clog here, definitely this was a swamp. But because most constructions in Uganda have nowhere to dump their cuts when they do excavate on hills, level ground, most of them dump them in these low-lying areas, and gradually they get reclaimed. You can witness that by seeing this channel that is crossing from here. And this actually comes from the slums of Katanga. So if you've never been in Katanga, that is where you would find Katanga. And interesting areas. Anyway, I have to find a way of navigating here. So that's the challenge of these gravel roads or maram roads. When it rains, they become very muddy and also very slippery. And at times, if you don't have a 4x4 wheeled car, you may have trouble. But anyway, this is not the worst of them, because I can see this Mercedes is navigating with ease, so it will be fine. Okay, I see a lot of car washes around here, but anyway, we are going to join Binaisa Road, and while there, I'll tell you one or two things about Binaisa, because most of the roads in Uganda are actually named by an individual, either from the colonial government post-colonial government or even civilians who have outperformed the others in sports and in representing the country. So let's head. Actually, around these parts of Makerere you'll find a lot of garages. Car garages, I mean car repair shops. And whenever you find a garage, it's likely that the landlord is actually an absentee landlord, and therefore the only way to keep their lands busy is to put such low profit businesses like renting out the space to mechanics, washing bays, and occasionally artificial playing taps. So, alright, what you see on the other side of Binaisa Road is Mulago Hospital, at least the new wing. And now about this Binaisa Road, which in the distance, the other side joins the junction of Haji Musa Kasule Road, and on this side goes on to meet Bombo Road. Now Binaisa was the president of Uganda, I think in 1979, but he barely ruled for a year, and he's the only serving president who returned from exile and lived in Uganda up to his death. Most of the other long-serving presidents died in exile, which is really bad for a country like Uganda. Anyway, that stretch there goes to Mulago, Jamaica. I don't know why it's called Jamaica. I actually have a theory that maybe it had upcoming wannabe musicians back in the past, and in the past reggae was the most known style of music, and it having originated from Jamaica, hence to Jamaica, probably it must have had Rastafarian wannabes. But alright, before we reach the junction, you will see in the distance that magnificent building behind the trees, and that is, if you haven't heard, the Synagogue Church of All Nations. And I think you might have heard of Kakande Ministries. That is his church. It's a beautiful piece of infrastructure that has lifted the face of this area. If you imagine, this is how it looked with those shacks, and here was full of mostly coffin makers catering to the needs of Mulago, because the mortuary entrance is right there. But now, even the kind of business now here looks a little more civilized. I see a washing bay, decent, but there are still shacks in the distance, like timber shacks. So, yep, the kind of ministries for you. In fact, the Synagogue Church of All Nations. But magnificent as it is. Oh, I saw something on the peak of that conical structure. I thought birds had started nesting on it, but no. I think it's just a design placed there. Probably it's Christmas lights, or it is anti-bird nesting spikes. Yes, something like that. So this is how it is. Today is a Tuesday. I'm seeing a lot of trusses. I think that's usually for stage. I see as if speakers. Probably they're preparing for the 31st of December, a time where most churches actually hold overnight prayers to cross over from the old year into the new year. It's a trend that has long been adopted by almost any church. I don't know who started it, but it's called. Anyway, let's proceed and meet the intersection where Binaisa Road meets Bombo Road, and also has Gayaza Road radiating off Bombo Road. Yeah, beautiful scenes. And I see cars are returning to Kampala, and we can now afford ourselves a queue just as the light holds them. Anyway, the lights have actually improved behavior at junctions. In the past, people just joined in even even if they had nowhere to head. So this is Hash, Mulago, and Wanji Aneda. So that was a motorcycle person hailing me to see if I was going anywhere. So now this is the junction right here, and it's now green, so these cars, I think, are actually free to move. I like these barriers. I can easily walk in this area. I don't know why this was marking just the perimeter of this. I need to go through here. Hope no one is planning to make a U-turn onto Bombo Road. So that's Bombo Road coming from town. I think we saw it much earlier, and it's heading back in that direction. That is Gayaza Road, and this is intersection. So I think, let me cross over to the other side. Okay. All right. I think I'm doing the wrong thing. Let me just head this way. Yeah. Private riders. A guy accelerates when he's been given green. You may think they are running an ambulance system, but anyway, I was also on the road. It's just that I misread the movements. My bad. Now, if you take this route further, you'll actually meet Boise, or what one would call Boise Kawempe. Anyway, let me take this path because I am trying to get myself onto Wandegeya Road, and I'll be aware of these motorcycles that decide to use the wrong lane in an attempt to beat traffic. It's really bad, so you have to watch out when you're in the city because they can easily knock you. Anyway, this is some form of cottage industry where they make local sofas, and in case you're wondering where your local sofas come from, it's actually right here in the distance. And I think they also do refurbishing or recycling whatsoever. But yep, so these are the frames of what you call chairs at home. I don't know how long lasting they are, but yeah, at least it's good to know people are not seated. Timber. This is quite a hill they chose to use. I know how heavy those things are. I have once pushed some of them up here. Interesting school. I think one of these days I should start a school. Alright. I think I'm out of breath. Because I'm approaching breathtaking sceneries, and those are the trees in my foreground that I believe might be inside Makerere University. So yet again, we are going to find ourselves along the perimeter walls of Makerere University. That is one of the premier universities in Africa, and I thought you should know that. I don't know whether these are stray dogs. I don't like dogs. Probably cats. But let's go on. Christmas tree, common in the past as live hedging plants. Okay, glad to know that some still do remain and exist. Alright, let's head. I have a feeling that the art of planting and decorating Christmas, the art of decorating Christmas trees for Christmas died with people stopped planting Christmas tree hedges. Anyway, let's join the inroad. Okay, or the tarmac road. This was just a walkway, and I see a food joint, but I will not eat from here. So now, this is Wandegeya Road. That is the boundary between the former establishment of Makerere and the informal enterprise of Chikumi. And this road joins Bombo Road, and into distance meets Sapporo Kagwa Road at 90 degrees. And yeah, it was actually upgraded to a tarmac surface or bitumen surface just recently in 2019 by the then executive director of Kampala, Jennifer Musisi, in a massive infrastructure upgrade project of the city. Anyway, this area is called Chikumi because of the small portions of food that were sold at 100 shillings here back in the 90s and early 2000s. You would simply add up 100 shilling portions until you made up to a quantity that was enough for you. So anyone could eat at any amount they had. And for that reason, I'm going to have to find myself food here. So let me find one of the restaurants that have food here. But yeah, restaurants like eating, let me call it more of an eating place. I do not know their professional meaning of restaurant, like what it should actually be. Okay, I see someone there, but I think I prefer to use these ones are not there, so looks like I'm stuck with fresh hot. I don't have much of a choice. And you can see border men have parked here to have food, because if you're doing border business, then it's highly unlikely that you'll have the time to cook. So here we are, and I'll sit on the outside. Hope they'll come to me. At times you have to go to them. Someone is renovating or upgrading their space in preparation for the new year. So see you guys in the next video, and if you haven't yet subscribed, please subscribe. And if you've liked this, there's another video I've touched there in the top right corner. Watch it, and it's flashing on your screen now. See you.